All right, check. Let me just turn that down a little bit. It seems to be a little bit loud. And see if I can find to turn my screen on here. Here I am. Hopefully this is working good. YouTube is telling me it's not working great, so I guess we'll find out in a second whether or not this is coming through steady or not. We should be up and working on a couple different channels here right now. Looks like my mic is still a little bit loud. Let me turn that down. So, whoops. Keep banging my mic. Promise I'll stop doing that in a second. Let me just move that somewhere where it won't bang it again. Okay, so kind of like last time, I'm just going to work through a few things here. I'll try and monitor chat channels and answer questions as we go. Hopefully there is lots of questions. Like I said, what I have planned is usually not what everyone wants to see. So I'm just going to start into this and then we'll go with it. You might hear my phone going off. I've got my notifications turned on. I'm going to try and use my phone to try and help me monitor chat channels. So again, if you do type a comment, I don't answer right away. It's not because I'm ignoring you. It's just I might not have seen it. But I'll try and get to questions and everything in the chats as we go through this. Now, when we did the last stream, I said I would put up a poll, and I was going to ask what you guys wanted to see as far as what we go through in the next stream. And I did that, and one of the options was something advanced in Mastercam, and there was an option for something basic and some other stuff. And basically the majority came back and said they wanted to see something advanced in Mastercam. So it's still pretty wide open on what that could be. I interpreted this on my own as to what I think could be advanced, while still trying to come up with something new and different that maybe others aren't doing in their streams or their webinars and stuff like that. You know, resellers are always doing webinars on the latest and greatest tool paths and all the different little switches you can touch in them and make them better. So I wanted to do something advanced, but still do something different. So that's what we're going to do today. And I'm going to start in Mastercam. And my advanced geometry and toolpath is going to be this drill. And I'm going to drill this point here. And I'm going to drill it 1/2 of an inch deep. Okay, so that's pretty advanced stuff we got going on here. I know, right? I promise you it's going to get better in a second here. So let me just make sure everything else is looking good. I hear beeps and stuff on my phone. Okay, so I'm getting notes here saying we're probably good. So I'm just going to keep on going then. No one's saying it's bad, so here we go. So, all right, this drill path in Mastercam is definitely not something advanced. But even what I talk about here might not be advanced anyways, but here we go. So what I want to talk about today, or at least start with today, is looking at different text editors. Not even so much text editors, but NC editors. So whenever you post this out into G-code, it's going to open up in an editor. So by default, when I post this out, as most of you are probably already aware of, it's going to open up in the Mastercam Code Expert, which here it comes. It's loading. It's coming. Hopefully it's coming. There we go. Maybe. There. All right. There it is. Okay. So code opens up by default in Mastercam's Code Expert. Code Expert is a text editor. It is an NC code editor. The difference between text editor and an NC code editor is just that there's some functions built into the software that are useful for you as an NC programmer, as a CNC machine programmer. Stuff like these automatic block numbering is super handy. Being able to skip tools quickly forward and reverse. I don't have a big program here, so this isn't useful for me in this case, but if you had a program with 15, 20 tools, you could easily step to the next tool just by clicking this button. So the text document here, it sees the word T, finds it, moves to it, and makes things easy. So NC code editors have built-in functions specific to someone who might be dealing with G-code. Okay, so that's great. There's other stuff inside Mastercam's Code Expert. I'm going to touch on a few things to start, but then kind of breeze over some of the other things and then come back to those later. So we did notice that this took a little bit to open up. My computer is not the best in the world, but it's also not terrible, where that it should take forever for a simple text editor to open up. But in the Code Expert, there's more things than just the text editor. There's this multi-stream guy, which if you had a machine that supported it, you'd be able to use, and that would be a game changer as far as not having it versus having it. So you would definitely want to be using this editor for this ability. There's more stuff built into it as well, which I'm going to come back to in a minute. But the point I want to make here is, yes, we can use different editors, but two, you should be using the editor depending on the job that it is you're trying to do. So in Mastercam, if you want to do a specific type of toolpath, you'll grab the correct operation for that. If you're in the shop and you want to hammer a pin, you go grab a hammer. You don't grab a screwdriver, right? So same thing in, at least my recommendations is you would grab the correct editor based on what it is you're trying to do. So let's have a look at some different editors and why you might want to pick one versus the other. Now, to change which one launches when you post G-code, that's in your config file. And it's on the start exit page, I believe. Yes, it is. And in here is editor. So by default, I think you're going to have options for Mastercam, Cimco, and other. Since I've already connected a few others in here, I'm already given the option to pick them. I'll go through a quick demo on how to pick something other in a second, but I'll go to this first Cimco here. This one, I believe, is included in the Mastercam install. I'm just going to click no here because I don't want to save this to my config file. But I post this now, it should open up in Cimco, which I think will open up off my screen. I'll just kind of drag it over here. I don't think we need it that big. So it opens up in Cimco Edit. Now this is the free Cimco. So there's some features of full Cimco that this one's missing. But it's still, it's going to work fine as a text editor or an NC code editor. It's got some NC code functions in here. Some typical text functions in here, copy, paste, find, all that kind of stuff. Still got your transmission guy in here, so you could send this over DNC to your machine if you're doing that. Some compare functions, which are very useful. Sorry, I was just getting some feedback there. I'm not sure where that came from. That's interesting. Maybe. I'm not sure where that came from. I heard some feedback. That was odd. Back to where was I? I was talking about NC code in this text editor. So yes, there's less functionality in here than there is in Mastercam's Expert or Code Expert. So this, because there's less going on in this program, it will launch quicker. With that, oh, so there's a question here. What would I be comparing? That's a good idea. Maybe I should talk about that right now. And I can make this same point at the same time as I do a compare here. So I mentioned that this launches faster than Mastercam's Code Expert. It's not that the code is posting any faster into them. It's just that the program takes a little bit longer to open. Now, if I don't close this program down, then the amount of time it takes to launch the program is now a non-factor. So if you don't close this editor down, how long it takes to post code won't ever be an issue. I just got feedback again. I'm just going to turn my computer speakers down. I'm not sure if it's coming through there or what, but anyways. So I'm going to go back into my main program here. I'm going to make a small little change. Let's go 510 deep, hit OK. And I did not close that launcher down or that editor down. I'm going to post this G code after I rebuild it. And I'm going to name it something different, just so I don't lose that first file. Okay, and so it opens up pretty much instantaneously. So when you're not launching the editor, it should take way less time to do this. So there I've got two different pieces of code. Now this is a very short, simple program, and it's probably easy to see where the change is right in our depth right there. But with these two files, I can click this button here, and it brings up a compare, and it shows me what's different between these two files. This is useful if you are, say, editing a post, and you want to see how that post edit you've just done has affected your code. This makes it very simple. Another instance is maybe you have good, solid code that you've ran 100 times, and you've made a small tweak in Mastercam and reposted. Maybe you want to compare those to see where the difference in code is. Maybe by year in Mastercam, there's been an update to your post, and you want to see where the changes are. Very useful to do some compares, which in Cimco is just a click of a button. We'll talk about that again back in Mastercams editor in a second. Okay, so other than that, there's not much else that we can do in here. Let me just exit this compare. I'm going to close down T1. I'm going to mention this here. Maybe I shouldn't. I'm not sure if this is a bug or a feature. The big thing about Cimco Edit, especially the full version, is it's got the ability to backplot your G code, and you can see it in a little backplot window. In this base install of Cimco, there's no way to backplot that, but if you do the keyboard shortcut Control-Shift-P, it will open up the backplot, and you can kind of quickly go through your code and see what it looks like. One thing you need to know about this is it's not going to be machine specific as far as the codes that it backplots. So if you're running a Fago or something or an Okuma, it might not be simulating this quite correctly, and for that you would need the full version of Cimco Edit. But yeah, I just wanted to show that out, that on this free one you can still get this backplot window up. And again, I'm not sure if you're supposed to be able to do that, but hey, there it is. Carrying on. What other editors have we got? Plain Jane Notepad. So Notepad is the Mastercam standard text editor, super lightweight. There's not much extra in it as far as functions. But when I post this guy, you should notice that it opens up pretty much instant. I don't have much else in here as far as ability to do much. I've got my typical text functions, copy paste, that sort of thing. But for the most part, it's text. There it is. If there's not much you want to do to this text, this is probably a good option for you to use as your editor. Maybe you just want to save this out somewhere else, or just do a quick little print or something. Then this is probably a good option, Notepad. So Notepad, super lightweight, not much extra functionality, launches very quickly, and that's all there is to really say about Notepad. Next up, let's have a look at we'll go into Notepad++. This is what I would consider probably the best editor you can use if you're not using an editor for backplotting. So it opens up very quickly. There's a ton of extra functionality as far as interacting with your code. There's macro recorders. You might notice right now that the text here is showing up just black and white. It's just not highlighted depending on the code that's being generated, which you did see inside of Cimco, which you did see inside of Mastercam's editor as well. However, with Notepad++, you can actually define your language. And with this, you've got like super customizable ability in any code that you want. So in Cimco, what we saw was a line like this, the whole thing would show up red because it's a rapid movement. The whole thing would be red. Inside Notepad++, I can get down to highlighting G0 as a certain color versus G90 as a certain color, versus Z moves a certain color versus X's, all that stuff. So nice that you can fully customize your code that way. It's got built-in compare as well, same as Cimco did. But yeah, Notepad++ is probably my go-to editor for anything unless you want to do backplotting. So with that, I'm going to finally touch on the full version of Cimco. So this one, you have to pay for it. It costs money. You know, with that money, you do get some extra goodies. And this will take a second to load up because it's got those extra goodies to deal with. So there's that highlighting I was talking about where a rapid motion shows up all red. This full version of Cimco, at least my full version of Cimco, has got that backplot that we talked about, little cheat to get into. It's also got solid animation as well, so you can see your code. Let me just do a quick little stock definition there. And you can actually see this thing machining a solid model. Okay, so that's, again, useful. This is different than Mastercam because, again, Mastercam Mastercam will simulate the programs that it's made inside of Mastercam, but to get to G code, it has to go through a post processor, and that resulting G code can be different than what you saw in Mastercam. So although it shouldn't be, if you have a guy that's good with his post, you should be exactly what you see in Mastercam is what you would get in your G code. But something like this is very useful and not a bad double check before you put it on your $1 million machine and push go. Okay, so that was the full version of Cimco. Now, why would we pick something that's not Cimco? So let me go back to this for 1 second again. Back to my analogy there, we're grabbing the right tool depending on what it is you want to do. If you need to do synchronization in your NC code, Mastercam is the way to go. If you want to be able to backplot your G code, Cimco is the way to go. If you're doing any sort of heavy editing in the text, I would suggest Notepad++. Mastercam, no. I want to go back and touch on this for a minute. So this is where we're going to get finally into something a little bit more advanced, which was the whole point of talking about editors. The Mastercam editor, as mentioned, has extra functionality into it. I'm just going to launch a version of it here. Just give me a second to open this up. Here we go. Kind of. There it is. Okay. So there, whoops, let me just leave that minimized for a bit. There you see file compare. So Mastercam's editor here, it would need an external program to do the compare. So that's a difference there as well. If you want to do a file compare, something else needs to be added into the Mastercam one. So as I mentioned, one of the big key factors or big bonuses in the Mastercam editor is the multi-stream. There's another thing here that I wanted to point out. If you come in here and go File New, we've got options here for different file types that we want to create. An NC file, a VBScript, or a code document. This is the one I want to look at right now, this Mastercam VBScript. VBScripts. I guess before we dig into this, let me just have a peek at comments, and before we go on to another topic, I'll just see. So we talked about the comparing, what the comparing is for, what we can compare. What video software are you using, Camtasia? For the videos that I record and post, yeah, it depends. Sometimes Camtasia, sometimes Premiere. For live streams like this, it's a software called Streamlabs OBS. Is there a way to list the tools in the header of the program? Absolutely. It's a post thing. It could be a switch. It could be an edit. There's also setup sheets, which might be more useful to you. You could use a tool list setup, and maybe that could spit out the programs for you without having to post code and go that way. What else we got here? Would you discuss the basics of using the software? Yes, I would. And as far as the basics of drawing a line and drilling a hole, that'll probably be another stream. I put the poll out asking what people wanted to see, and that came back with advanced, so that's kind of the direction we picked for today. Fourth axis, unwrap contour toolpath. I unwrapped the slot, and us trying to use cutter comp, but it could not work. Your thoughts? I would have to see a file to really dig into a specific question. Again, that's something we could look at in another future stream, is taking some files and reviewing them and giving feedback, but it's tough for me to pick through a comment about an operation and then guess at it. What else we got here? Oh, so yeah, so John Ford tried to answer that question, and hopefully that helped, because I would have to see a file and dig from there. Okay, so VBS. What is VBS? So this is a little help file. I guess there's a few things we should touch on about VBS. Number one is it's, for a better word, it's kind of dead. Why am I showing something that's kind of dead and not supported anymore? Because I think it's the best way, the easiest way to dabble with this type of stuff. What is this type of stuff? So VBScript is Microsoft basically scripting language, and it's very similar to VBA. Now, why am I bringing up VBA? Anyone who's dabbled into automating of Word or Excel or Outlook, built into those software is an application called Visual Basic for Applications. The language in VBA is very similar to VBScript. But basically what's happened with this VBScript, I think X9 was probably the last one where they really still had it incorporated with Mastercam. and it's slowly been getting less and less and less and less every single year, which I think is unfortunate because, like I said, it's a good place to start if you ever want to get into automation of Mastercam. Typically, the right way you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to download and install an edition of Visual Studio, and you're supposed to, create an actual net hook or a C hook. For me, if I just want to dabble with some stuff, I don't want to go that deep. I just want to do a quick little couple lines of code and push go and see if it worked or not. Yeah, so like I said, it's been less and less every single year, but it still works. And I think the best thing about VBScripts is if you had a script in like X9, it still works in 2020 or 2021. You don't have to change it. It works. So yeah. Now, why did I get to this talking about VBScript? Okay, so let me just move this off to the side for a minute. I came to this topic for a reason. I went down a rabbit hole one day. I was researching some information on a new video I was trying to make, and basically it was going to be a video on talking about verniers. What a vernier is, how they work, the concept behind it. And as you get into it, you start to do some research on the history of verniers and where did it come from. So this guy that made the vernier, did he just come up with this idea, or was there other inspiration behind it? And there was in fact inspiration behind it. And let me just bring this web page up here if I can find it. Yeah, this was a heck of a rabbit hole I went down one night, so just bear with me for a second. And basically, this vernier guy based his concept on this thing called a Nunez device. It was so it's way back in the day, like 1500s and stuff, right? So what these guys were really doing was navigating with their ships. And when they're navigating, they're lining up their telescope with the North Star. And basically the angle that they point at is telling them their latitude and or longitude. So basically the thought here is that before the vernier scale, there was no way to tell where you were. If you had 38 degrees, 37 degrees, and you were in between it, where were you? You didn't have an accurate way to tell. So they came up with this scale called the Nunez scale. So I'm researching this, and I'm trying to find a picture of it to see what it looks like and how it would work. And the best I could find is the pictures in Wikipedia. And this, to me, doesn't really show what works. I don't get it, right? So it doesn't make any sense to me. So I want to be able to draw this up and see how it works. Now in this, I'm given a description here of what this device actually is. So basically it says here, this is a number of concentric circles offset from each other. So a bunch of circles, one smaller than the next one. And on each of these circles, there's one less division than the previous circle. So 45 circles, quadrants we'll call them because we're only doing 90 degrees. Outside arc would have 90 deviations. The next arc inside would have 89. The next one, 87, etc., etc., etc. So I wanted to draw this in Mastercam. And you can imagine drawing 90 arcs and then 90 points on the arcs would take a lot of time. So that's when I came into this VBScript here to try and do something. So to just give a quick example of what you can do here with this VBScript and why it's important. Obviously, you need a little bit of knowledge on how to start some of this code. But basically, as you're typing, you can see some of the words they're highlighted. And I'm getting some auto-completion. And let me just draw up a quick point. So I'm going to set this. And you can say equals, and you can do an MC. So basically, the point I'm trying to make with this VBScript is that it's got this information built into the Mastercam editor. When you're doing this, you can get that auto-completion. You can get the hints about the code you're trying to type. And it helps you when you're developing your scripts. Now, let me just open up the finished script here, and we'll jump straight over to this. So when I created this script here, I started with basically an existing piece of code that was made by, looks like Mick George, back in 2003. So I took this code that he made, and I edited it to make this Nunez device. And then the other reason why I went this route is I don't know how big I want to make the circles. I don't know what I want to mark the points on the circle with. So I'm able to make those adjustments in code and then run them and adjust as needed. So there's another thing we need to point out about the newer Mastercams is that VBScript command is now hidden, and you'll have to kind of search for it. And this is the right one, so if I just click on this, and it'll run the code, and there it makes all this geometry in a matter of seconds. Basically, you can see those arcs, you can see the points I've created, and I was trying to get the idea behind, you know, you can see here when this line's drawn out, say this was 27 degrees, this was 28, and when this thing moves, they would pick the point inside that it best lines up to, which is probably that guy right there, and that would be the angle of that line. Okay, super, I guess, super cool device technology. I guess we'll call it for the 1500s. But you can see where it was lacking in maybe readability. And again, using this VBScript, I wanted to try and figure out how accurate was this thing. What were they dealing with? Were they dealing with, you know, 2 minutes of accuracy? Was it 5 minutes? Was it 12 minutes? So in my code that I already created to make all this geometry over here, to try and figure out how accurate it would be, I made a little bit of extra code that plotted these points in a line. Right, and this is all coming from created code that I can, you know, adjust on the fly. And basically, it placed the point at each division that you would see inside of that range. So there you can see the points, they're kind of spread out, they're not even. So there's the limitation of this Nunez device, whereas unevenly spread points, not super accurate as far as each notch is, you know, 7 minutes or something. And that's probably why, you know, Mr. Vernier decided to create the Vernier. Yeah, so anyways, that was a rabbit hole I went down as far as finding something that I wanted to wrap my head around and experiment with, but then deciding that brute forcing the geometry creation would not be efficient, and that using something like a VBScript to create that geometry that I could easily edit and modify would be a much more efficient way to go about spending my time. I'm easily able to change the outside radius here, change whether these are points or circles, all sorts of stuff like that. So the main point being, a lot of people, when they try to get faster at Mastercam, they really start to focus on keyboard shortcuts, you know, making commands with keyboard shortcuts, getting extra keyboards that have actually all these buttons in it that they push to automate these things. Whereas something like this, if you're able to utilize VBScripts or one step further, the net hooks or C hooks, you could probably get a lot quicker, a lot sooner, without having to memorize keyboard shortcuts. This will make you way faster as far as how quick this thing can go. This thing can run through a piece of code faster than you could ever do a keyboard shortcut. But VBScript, I bring it up because it's easy to learn. One, it may not look easy, but there's lots of tutorials online. There's even some in old Mastercam. It's not complicated code. There's no extra work to connect this thing to Mastercam. You just basically run the code you save. You don't have to worry about connecting softwares. Same as VBA would work inside of Excel or something. And it's a good way to step into an automation world and not go too far to start, because it is super overwhelming when you get into this programming language. But definitely useful. So again, that's another advanced functionality of the Mastercam code editor, which again gives it another specific use. So this tool, if you want to make VBScript, this is the guy you probably want to use to do that. If you want to do, like I said, backplotting, you're going to be going over to Cimco. Okay, so that's pretty good, I think, on scripts. I don't want to get too far into it. I'm definitely not a subject matter expert on scripting, so I don't want to really get too far into it. I just wanted to kind of mention it there. And let's peek back at the comments here for a minute. What do we got here? Milton, talk about, oh, I got to go way up. We got a new user of Mastercam. Yeah, that's good. There's lots of content out there that you can use to learn from. YouTube videos, probably stay away from, unless, of course, they're CamInstructor YouTube videos. Yeah, we've got a free course out there somewhere. You should probably go click on that, download those free lessons, and start your Mastercam learning down that path. Someone's got 2 questions. VBScript to make a personalized setup sheet. That's a little different than VBScript. You're getting into... I don't have anything prepared to answer that, but let me just go over here for a second. That's in you're talking more active reports. It's another software, and that you can edit inside of the active reports editor and do all sorts of customization inside of that guy. Yeah, that would be a long video. There's so much stuff you can do in there. And again, I'm not a huge expert on active reports, but it's something we could do and cover basics of for sure. Mill turn is a new technology. I don't know why Mastercam not activated in demo version. Yeah, so the best way to try and get Mastercam to include mill turn in the demo product would be to ask them. And I think the problem with it is the machine. You need a specific machine. I think that was some of the reason why they didn't want to include it, was because dealing with the machine was a problem, and giving out a free machine or something. I'm not sure. Maybe one day it'll happen. Hey, you just got to ask them. If you don't ask, you never know. The worst they can say is no, right? Mill A-axis drill. Well, yeah. I guess you may have seen in my posted code, since I'm using the default machine. It may have posted out with an A-axis rotation, which is not good. So that's probably a reason why you would be using your NC code editor, would be to go in and take those A movements out, or edit your post to make the correct G code, right? What's the pricing for mill turn and activation? No idea. Again, best to contact a reseller and they could tell you. I know that's the answer for everything Mastercam price related, right? But I don't know. I don't know the pricing of anything for Mastercam. I don't even know the price of Mastercam, so I can't help much there. If you have any questions on pricing on our stuff, I can help you, but I don't know what Mastercam costs. Whoa, someone's getting offside here. Nobody wants to see me with my shirt off. I'm telling you that right now. Everyone would instantly turn this off. Is VBS the same as Java? I'm not a expert, subject matter expert here. There's going to be differences in the syntax. There's going to be differences in the words used. Concept, I think, is the same. But overall implementation of it, I don't think so. I've never programmed with Java, so I can't say for sure. But how about posting EIA code instead of NC code in the post? So EIA, that's Mazak stuff, right? I'm not really sure what you're getting at, but that's a post thing. I'm not a post expert. I'm sure there's ways you could have a post edited to do what you want as far as what you want to see outputted or created, but yeah. Okay, so I think I've covered everything for the most part. Talked about editors and reasons why you would pick one versus the other. Pick the right tool for the job that you're trying to do. Did a quick overview of VBScripts, kind of talking about how it can make your life easier, even though it's going to be super intimidating to start. It is scary, and there's a lot to take in, but if you were to, allocate a half an hour a day for probably a month, you would be surprised at what you'd be able to do with a VBScript. For that matter, even if you went full all the way in and hopped right into making a net hook or something, again, a half an hour a day, looking at sample code, looking at some tutorials, you'd be amazed at how far you can get in a month. Okay, a couple more comments popping up. Fairly new to Mastercam. I did it for 1 year in junior engineering. Any tips to help? With any software, the more you use it, the better you'll get with it. If you used Mastercam 2 years ago for 3 months, and you try and go and use it today, you'll probably struggle. If you use a software every single day, you're going to get really good at it. You'll start to remember shortcuts. You'll start to remember things you did yesterday that helped you out, and you can use them going forward. So with any software, if you want to get better with it, you just have to use it. So maybe in Mastercam, like I did here. I went down this rabbit hole. I wanted to figure out how to do how this Nunez device actually works, so I created this geometry. Learned a bunch of stuff while I did it. Wasn't probably the best use of my time, but hey, I learned lots. And then tomorrow when I go to do something else, things I learned when I did this, it'll make me faster tomorrow. So even though I did something today that slowed me down, going forward, I'm going to be that much better. Both VB and Java, same theory, a lot of different. Yeah, there's going to be massive. I think Java is obviously a newer language as well, and VB's probably been around for ever. Any idea on some of the major differences between Mastercam's G code and I don't know what that is. But as far as differences in G code is G code is G code for the most part. So if you're trying to program a Haas machine, a G01 from Mastercam is the same as a G01 from NX, from Siemens NX. How you get that G code is, there's a lot of differences. What you do in the software, how it's translated from graphical toolpath to text motion, there's a lot different that happens in between there. But as far as G code from one software versus G code from another, the words themselves are the same. How they're laid out will be different. How well they control your machine definitely could be different. What else we got in here? 5-axis programming, best site to learn. Have you used other software to program 5-axis? I'm not sure if we're asking a question about the best site to learn 5-axis or making a statement. We have 5-axis stuff on our course site. We have 4-axis stuff on our course site. We have lathe, all that kind of stuff. In our sample tutorial package, there is a 5-axis sample course in there. So if you want to take 5-axis training and you're not sure if our stuff is going to be up to snuff, you can go through that free package, look at that lesson, and make up your mind based on that, I guess. Which I think you'll end up saying that, yeah, the lesson is good and that you should look into our full package. Other than that, if you're trying to learn 5-axis programming, there is some books out there that you can read that can help along the way as well. Sometimes you can't be in front of Mastercam experimenting. I think it was, I'm drawing a blank on the name. Why am I drawing a blank on the name? Carl. I think it was Carl. I'm hugely drawing a blank on the name. He's a Mastercam guy, and he made a book on 5-axis programming, talks all about the different types of machines, simulation, controls. Very good book to read through if you're looking for a book to read. You know what I should do? I should Google that so I don't leave you guys hanging on what this book actually was called. Unless someone can chime in and help me out. This is it. I think I found it. Maybe I found it. Maybe that was my phone going off because it was someone texting me and telling me who the Carlo Apro. Yes. Let me just slide this over here. Secrets of 5-Axis Machining by Carlo Apro. I could be mispronouncing the name. I'm sorry if I am. Excellent book. I'm sure it's available on Amazon. Everything's available on Amazon, right? So if you're looking for something other than software to dive into 5-Axis stuff, there you go. Yeah, some people are helping me out here. Thank you for the help. It's Friday, and it's the afternoon. I'm allowed to struggle with things. What else we got here? Does CamInstructor have training for machine creation for posts? No, we don't go that specific or that deep. Should we? Could we? Those are all questions to be seen. Yeah. Maybe if we were to do it in conjunction with someone else, like a post developer or with Mastercam, but for the most part, that stuff, when you get that specific, you're going to want to lean on your reseller or Mastercam for some extra information on that stuff. Not to say that we couldn't do a live stream on it and maybe cover some of the high points, but yeah, it's good to know. Whenever I put out a post about asking about things to talk about in live streams, make sure you find one of those polls and comment and reply and say, this is what I want you to talk about. And then I can focus on that for a next live stream. Okay, continuing on here. Is there going to be a future stream of semi-complex part program from start to finish? Yeah. On a 3x machine, yes. I would like videos. So the last live stream, we kind of did, well, I wouldn't say it was a complex part, but it was, we did some engraving on a curved surface. And we talked about ways to import this part and do some alignment into a vise. And we got halfway into doing some Boolean operations into some excuse me, into some soft jaws. So that was kind of complex. I don't know if that's complex as far as what you want to see as far as complex goes, because that's another tough one. One person's complex is another person's easy. One person's, it's extra. So it's tough to me to gauge difficulty, that this is a difficult part that everyone will see as difficult. I'm sure some of the stuff I do, some of the power users out there would say, oh, that's a 5-minute job on a Tuesday morning. That's not complicated. So yeah, we'll be doing more parts, more complicated, some easy. I think I should do a stream where things are a little bit more basic. We did that last job. Like I said, the last stream was kind of, I guess I would say, middle of the road to complex. And then this one talking about VBScript, that's more obscure. So maybe the next one we should do a little bit more basics, drawing a square, doing a profile, machining a pocket, some basic stuff like that. But maybe the next live stream we'll look at that route. C-hooks are using VBScript. How hard is it to develop a C-hook? C-hooks, so the name C is referring to the programming language used to develop it. So C-hooks use the C language. I'm not sure if it's C or C++. Not really sure. But then there's net hooks, and net hooks you can use, as far as I know, either C# or VB.net for programming languages to develop it. And as far as I know as well, the C, if you're in the C development world, you have access to more stuff. So that's another decision that you have to make, is what functionality do you need, and then which language do you need to dive into, the .nets versus the C hooks. Again, not a subject matter expert, and I'm sure if anyone with programming knowledge is watching this, they're probably screaming at the screen going, oh, you're wrong, what are you talking about? But doing my best. Josh comes back using 2D dynamic mill. Yeah, dynamic mill, absolutely. We'll do one with dynamic mill, absolutely. We do have some videos on the YouTubes and our blog post that dig into dynamics quite deeply. Let me just see if I can find something here quickly. So I mentioned this in the last stream, but I didn't bring it up on screen. Our blog, blog.caminstructor.com. I post videos here fairly often. I try and do every week, but I've been a little bit behind these past few weeks. And on here, I know there is somewhere. There's lots of posts in here. So there's a part 4 on chaining inside dynamic mill. So there's 4 parts that specifically focus on chaining. And I think way near the end here, there's a bunch on the actual, every single setting inside of it. So what does each of these settings do? I think it's right near the end. But yeah, check out the blog. If not, I'm pretty sure they're on the YouTube channel as well. There you go. Dynamic milling. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 or 5 videos there. I think these are in 2018 or 2017. These videos, but the settings and parameters are still basically the same. There might be a few interface changes that you notice if you're working in 2020 or later, but the information is still good. So yeah, check out those videos, and then if you have questions when we do a live stream, we can definitely talk about those. Some of the toolpaths are module works as well, and the verify engine. But where'd that go? Where did it go? I was just reading a comment, and it's gone. There was some a point there about module work stuff. Yeah, there's module works toolpaths. I think majority of those would be some of these guys in the 5-axis world. Still, some of these are Mastercam toolpaths. I don't know which is which, but some of these are module works, and I'm sure, again, if there's someone watching here who knows more about which toolpath is which, they're probably yelling at the screen going, no, don't say that. You don't know what you're talking about. But I'll say this, some of these are module works. As far as I know, I don't think any of these ones are. I think all these are Mastercam toolpaths, and same with 2D. As far as I know, these are all Mastercam toolpaths. Verify. This verify is Mastercam. This simulate is Mastercam. I don't know if it uses any background stuff from module works, but this guy over here I think is a module works simulation. Again, I could be completely wrong, but that's my knowledge. There is some module work stuff in there. I don't think it's a bad thing. Some people think it is, but the module work stuff is fantastic. And I think the main difference there as well, so yeah, other companies can use module works toolpaths, but those module works toolpaths still have to be incorporated into the software, one, and two, they still have to be supported on the output in the post. And I think that's the main difference between module works in Mastercam versus module works in something else. Some of them just take module works and just basically plop it down in Mastercam and say, here's this toolpath, use it. Whereas I think Mastercam, they spend a little bit more time and they try and still interface it so that it looks like it's this familiar Mastercam and have some sense as to working through a toolpath top to bottom. So I think they do a better job that way. And the other point is as well, if you do include module works in your software, there's different levels. So just because you have a module works toolpath doesn't mean you have all of the module works toolpaths. Where I think Mastercam has a good portion of them. I don't know enough about module works to say if they have them all, but they've got lots. The good ones anyways, the ones I like to use, they got them. Module works supplies a lot of technology to lots of, yeah, that's what they do. They make toolpaths, right? And they sell them. So they're all over the place. But like I said, it's how it's implemented in the software and how that's then created into G-code, where I think Mastercam is ahead of the rest. Yeah, definitely focus those module work questions to CNC because they are definitely more knowledgeable than I am about it. But I did my best. Okay, so we are like almost an hour in here. If there's more questions, I can try and answer some more. Again, I'll put a poll out, in a couple of days asking about what you guys want to see in the next stream. And please respond to that so I know what you want to see. And I'll kind of weigh my decision on that feedback. Here's another question. Can Mastercam import and edit .pgmx files? I don't know what PGM or PGMX files are. What software are they from? I don't know what that is. For the most part, though, I guess to generalize, for the most part, it can import most solids from other softwares. If we do an open, let me do a quick browse here. From the pull down, yeah, so these file extensions, it can open all of this stuff. So if you're trying to export natively from other software that maybe you don't see on this list, I guess what you would want to do is see if you can export from that software into something that's not specific, like see if you can export as a step, if you can export as STL from that software, then if you can easily bring it into Mastercam. And that would be solids-based or wireframe-based type of stuff. Okay, so I think we're about good to wrap it up. Lots of people here, so that's good. It's fantastic. Lots of you hung around till the end. And I'm glad everyone's hung around to the end. I'm kind of curious. I wanted to do a bit of a giveaway today. I'm just not sure how I can go about doing it, though. I didn't ask the boss about this. I don't even know if he's would let me do it. But we've got t-shirts. And then if I can back up here a little bit. Someone mentioned the t-shirt earlier about removing it. I got to leave it on because it's got the logo on it. So I think we should try and give away something every time we do a live stream. I would love to give away tons of stuff to every single person. But you know, we are a budget-minded company. We don't have sponsors that lay down money for our videos like this. Wish we did. Wish Haas would come by and say, we'll sponsor your videos and we can give away a whole bunch of Haas swag. Or Mastercam, would let us give away some Mastercam swag. But we got to do it ourselves, and we got to give away some CamInstructor swag, but I can only give away a few things. So let me just see what I can think of here quickly. So I think this will be the best thing I can do. If I can find a browser screen I can look at. Let me go back to the blog for a second. And that should take me back to the home page. This was, I mentioned to someone earlier about, we have some free stuff. This blog post here, this working, learning, or teaching from home, it's got a link to a free course. If you click on this, follow these steps here, and sign up with this code, you'll get access to this free course we have. And for this, you actually have to, you have to create an account on our website. So you have to put in your name and your email address. That's the only thing it requires from you is a name and an email address. And then you're signed up for this course. It does say purchase when you click, accept. But at no point do you put in a credit card. At no point are you buying anything. You're just clicking purchase to finalize the deal. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to timestamp this right now. It's 1:55 on May 15th. The next two emails that sign up for this, so any two emails that sign up for this after 1:55, I'll offer up the boss's money here and send out 2 free t-shirts to those 2 people. Okay, so go sign up for it now. I'll give away 2 shirts. It's the best I can do for now is shirts. I'm kind of thinking this up on the fly here and trying to think of an easy way to do it without requiring someone to put their email address into a chat box in YouTube. So this would be easy. If you click on here, sign up, your email address will be there, and then someone will contact you and try and get some information about where you live, and we'll send you a t-shirt. You pick a size, whatever. Hopefully we got it in stock, and we'll send it out. Okay, so that's the reward for sticking around for the whole webinar, the whole thing. You made it a whole hour long, and that's the best I can do for now. So maybe in the future we can. Oh no, I guess got a note there. It's coming off my pay. It's okay. It's okay. We get a discount when we order in bulk, right? Hopefully. Yeah, so that's what we'll do, and then maybe next time we can come up with something a little better. Maybe if I can get authority from the boss, we can give away some subscriptions or something, but I didn't say that out loud. All right, so someone go sign up for that, get a free shirt, and you can wear it around your shop and, be the envy of all your machinist mates. Okay, so if I don't see any more questions, I think I'll probably wrap it up. Yeah, the shirt will be probably this one here. I think we have gray ones as well. I don't know what's in stock because I didn't look. I didn't ask. I just kind of said. So if we don't have any in stock, we'll be getting more. And yeah, they'll probably be this red color, and they'll say CamInstructor across it. Yeah. Okay, so without any more questions, I'm gonna wrap it up here. And like I said, watch for a post. It'll probably be on YouTube, maybe on Facebook, a poll just asking what do you want to see in the next stream. Please give feedback, and maybe we can make a stream that's more fitting to what you want to see. And be looking for that. Maybe we'll hit one up next week. Hopefully, we'll try and do this more regularly. Maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. But yeah, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks, everyone, for sticking around. And we'll see you in the next one.